go. Okay. Hello, hello. How's it going? Hi, Jules. How are you today? I'm going to make sure I can hear myself. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I got all my sound stuff figured out, I think. After I couldn't, well, I guess last time when it was with Duck and Jess, it was I couldn't get my camera to work. Oh, and this time it was like my microphone didn't kick on right away. So I was like, I better make sure I can hear myself and that you guys all can hear me. Because otherwise, what are we doing? Right? Right. So I hope everyone is having a lovely Friday. Thank you for joining me at a different time. My kiddo had a bunch of stuff going on at school today. So, hi, Cassie. So I was at school with my youngest all day today doing all sorts of different things for PTO, and they had a fundraiser thing, and so it was a busy, busy day. And I was like, I don't think I have enough time to get back home to do Mom Street and then get back to the school to do the things that they needed help with. So thanks for popping in and joining me at this later time. Just getting over a cold and trying to be there for my friend. Oh, Jules, that's so hard, but that's so sweet of you for being there for your friend. I love that. I love that. Oh, your favorite princess? Yes. I stole these from my daughter. You know what's so funny is like I am such a huge Disney person. I'm not a huge Disney princess person. I don't know why. I'm not like, I love the princesses. I really like Moana and Tiana, which are like newer princesses. So like, I don't know. I guess I didn't really grow up with a bunch of, I grew up watching a lot of the like animal Disney movies when I was a kid. So like, that's what I know more. So yeah, but my daughter likes Ariel and Moana a lot. So, hi, Vinny. My day is going well. It has been a very busy day. I was helping at my kiddo's school with a bunch of events today, but it was really, really good. So, even though I want to tell her to take several seats when she tells Triton she's 16 and not a child, that this is true, Cassie, this is true. But, that's the teenage attitude, right? So, that makes sense. But yes, we're talking princesses today. So we started this series back before we took our little break, and we did the perfect Star Wars day. And so now today we're going to talk about princesses. So we're going to talk about where to find the princesses. And at the end, I'm going to give you my suggestions for if you're trying to get to see all the princesses or as many princesses as possible. And if you want to do the rides or the shows or the character meet and greets, I've got all of that kind of for you. Hi, Ty. Happy Friday. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in because I need to get this done before my kiddos need to eat dinner. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in here. Awesome. Thank you guys for hanging. Thanks for being here. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Mom Street USA. My name is Jackie, and today we are going to be talking about... No, I don't like that intro. Redo. I redid the intro last time, and I got the first part right, but I didn't get the second part right, and I don't like it. So, redo. Take two. Ready? Break. Hi, Sarah. You're just in time to watch me restart my podcast again because I didn't like the way that intro sounded. Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Mom Street USA. I am your host, Jackie, and today we are going to be talking about the perfect Princess Day at Walt Disney World. So just a few episodes ago, we started this little kind of mini series on these IP focused or certain movie focused perfect days at the Disney World parks. So today we're going to be talking about princesses. Last episode we did this, we talked about Star Wars. So if you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't checked that out and you want to know where to find all of your favorite Star Wars characters, go there first. But today we're talking all things princesses. So that is the goal for today, is to give you a rundown of where you can find the princesses at what parks and where your best chance is to be able to see as many princesses as possible. So let's jump into that information. So princesses are some of the very most popular characters at the Disney parks. Today, we are going to highlight all of the places, again, that you can find the princesses at Walt Disney World. And at the end of today's episode, I'm going to give you my perfect Princess Day itinerary guides. So they are going to be some guides on if you want to do characters, some guides on if you want to do rides, lots of different options with those. But for the purpose also of today's episode, I'm going to do my best to stick with what we consider the official, quote unquote, Disney princesses. So there are a ton of princess adjacent characters and maybe should be princess characters in the Disney IP, intellectual property. Is that what IP stands for? But for all intents and purposes of today, we are sticking with what Disney considers their official princess roster, which is Moana, Rapunzel, Tiana, Ariel, Cinderella, Jasmine, Belle, Snow White, Aurora, Mulan, Merida, Pocahontas, and Raya. So those are the official Disney princesses that we are going to focus on in today's episode. We are going to highlight each park to start, and then we'll talk about the itinerary options from there. So I kind of put these in order of like least amount of princesses to most amount of princesses. So we're starting at Animal Kingdom. Currently, Animal Kingdom is very lacking on its princess front. There are a few places, if you are visiting Animal Kingdom, that you can find these princesses, and it really is only two different character meet and greets. So Moana has a character meet and greet that is at Animal Kingdom, and Pocahontas has a character meet and greet that is at Animal Kingdom. Other than that, unfortunately, there are no rides that feature the princesses, there are no shows that feature princesses, and there is no dining that features princesses. Now, that's not to say there are not fabulous rides, shows, and dining at that park, but there are no princess-specific options when it comes to Animal Kingdom. So, not much to say there. Let's hop on over to Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios has significantly more than Animal Kingdom, but it doesn't have as many as some of the other parks we're going to get to here in a little bit. So as far as rides go, Hollywood Studios does not have any. That was like a really bad sentence. Let me try that again. As far as rides go, Hollywood Studios does not have any specific rides that are themed to the princesses. However, there are princesses that you can find still. Character meet and greets, you've got Ariel in the live action version that meets at Hollywood Studios. You can find her in the same building as the Walt's One Man's Dream attraction that is directly behind the Chinese Theater. So if you want to meet the live action version of Princess Ariel, that is where you will find her. I will also mention, I know I said I wasn't going to do too many princess adjacent or should be princesses, but I will just mention that Olaf does meet here if you are a fan of Anna and Elsa. He is kind of that princess adjacent, so you can find the Olaf meet and greet at Hollywood Studios as well. Let's talk about shows at Hollywood Studios, because there are several that feature princesses or princess stories or music from the princesses. You've got the Beauty and the Beast live on stage show. This is a show, like a stage show, and it is in a open air amphitheater. It is covered, which is nice in case of, scorching sun or downpours in Florida. But you can find that at Hollywood Studios, and it is essentially a stage performance of the movie in just an abridged form, meaning it's shorter, right? So they've got little snippets of each song. You'll still see all your favorite characters. You'll still get to see Belle on stage, throughout all of that. It's a really great show. They've got really talented performers in that show. So if you are a Beauty and the Beast fan, that is a must do for you on your trip to Hollywood Studios. Another show that you can attend at studios that has princesses in it is the newly reopened, I guess I should say, Little Mermaid, a musical adventure. So this is inside of an indoor theater. And it is, again, a stage show with live performers. This one's got less people performers and more puppet performers, but is a fabulous, again, abridged retelling of the Little Mermaid show. And this is, like I said, it's been around now, again, for about a year. And it is very similar, if you're familiar with the previous rendition of this. Very, very similar. When it reopened about a year ago, they just kind of plussed it and enhanced it. They gave it some new character puppets and some new lighting and some new staging and those kinds of things. But the story is still the story that we know and love of The Little Mermaid. So that is another great option. The other theater style of show that we have is the Frozen Sing-Along. So this one is a little bit different in that Anna and Elsa are both in it, but again, they are what we are calling that princess adjacent. So I do just want to mention it because I feel like even though Anna and Elsa are not technically on the official list because, Queen Anna and Queen Elsa and all that good stuff, I do feel like they are worth mentioning. So you will hear me talk a little bit about Frozen. But that show is really, really great. But do keep in mind that Anna and Elsa are not in the entire show. So it's mostly done by the royal historians, which are new characters for the show. But Anna and Elsa do both make appearances for that one as well. The other show that I have to mention is the Nighttime Spectacular show at Hollywood Studios, and that is Fantasmic. This show is one of the best places if you are a family that really just truly loves all of the princesses. This is the show that you're going to want to go to. It is so, so good. It's got tons of different characters. But as far as princesses go, it's got tons of brief princess moments in some of the visual effects that they've got and like video things that they have going on in there. But as far as like performers and like actual princesses in person in the show, they've got Pocahontas, they've got Moana, they've got Elsa, Queen Elsa. They've got Belle, they've got Ariel, and they've got Snow White. So a massive list there that you would get to see. And again, those are performers during the show. There's a whole little princess section. That is where you will find Belle, Ariel, and Snow White on their little floats with their male counterparts on those floats with them. Pocahontas has a great little section, as does Moana and Elsa as well. And like I said, that's one of the best places to see if you're okay and your kiddos you're with are okay with just like getting to see them. They don't have to like actually go up and meet them. Fantasmic is a great way to kind of check that box at Hollywood Studios for them. A couple other things that I do want to mention about Fantasmic, just to make sure you know. If you sit too far down, there are water effects. If the breeze kicks up, you may get wet. So keep that in mind. If your princess wants to go full princess dress to go watch Fantasmic, let her do it or let him do it. However, you may not want to sit all the way down at the front. Just keep that in mind. There is also some fire effects on the water there as well. Again, just make sure that you kind of take a look at that and decide where you want to sit. And if you've got kiddos that are sensitive to water or flame, you may want to let them sit back because you do feel the heat from the flame. Obviously, you're completely safe even if you're in the front row from that, but you will feel the warmth from that if you do choose to sit down that far. So that kind of wraps up what we've got going at Hollywood Studios, because there is no dining option there. But like I said, we'll get to more princesses the further we go. So our first two parks, a little bit lacking, but the shows at Hollywood Studios are really, really top notch if you want to meet princesses and see princesses there. With that, we're going to keep on pushing through, and we are going to hop to Epcot. Now, Epcot and Magic Kingdom both have a ton of characters that are true character meet and greets for the princesses. If you are doing a princess day at these parks, and we'll talk about itineraries here in a little bit, but if you are doing princess days at these parks, you really need to prioritize, and you really need to look at, especially at Epcot, where these character meets are taking place. So you really want to plan ahead for that. But before we get to the specific character meets, let's talk about the rides at Epcot, because there are technically two different attractions at Epcot that feature princesses and princess adjacent, because I cannot not mention Frozen Ever After. So again, talking about Frozen, talking about the queens, Anna and Elsa, again, I just feel like they need to be mentioned alongside of these princesses here. So Frozen Ever After is a great princess ride if that's something that you want to throw on your list for Epcot. It does get a little bit of a long line, so I suggest either going to that first thing during your rope drop, or kind of keeping an eye out on that line to see maybe if it goes down about 10 or 15 minutes during a mealtime or during the afternoon, or jumping in line at the end of the night. If you're not interested in seeing fireworks, you can kind of make that call. Using lightning lanes is definitely an option there. It is a tier 1 lightning lane, so that is another option that you could utilize as far as getting on Frozen Ever After. The other attraction that I want to mention is not officially a ride, it's an experience, and that is Journey of Water, inspired by Moana. So this attraction, you don't actually see Moana inside the walkthrough attraction. However, she does have a meet and greet that we'll talk about here in just a moment, that is like right around the corner from the entrance to this. But this, if you've got a kiddo that really loves Moana, this walkthrough is incredible. Also, if you've got a kiddo that just loves interactivity and things that they can, there's lots of things in there that they can like make happen. This is an amazing place to spend a ton of time. My kiddos, the first time they went through this walkthrough, they absolutely fell in love. And they asked to go back about 400 more times on the rest of our trip. And we did make several trips back to going through this walkthrough attraction. But essentially, this attraction takes you through the water cycle. There are tons of little signs and descriptions and things as you go that talk about like how the water, comes down from the clouds, and then where does it go, and how does it end up back in there, and what does that cycle look like. So it's very educational and informative, which my kids maybe are the minority, but they love stuff like that. But the best part is, in each step of the water cycle, you get to go through and interact with the water. So in the first little section, they have these streams of water that are going down in lines, and you can run your hand through it. It makes music as you do it, kind of like a little like xylophone situation. Similar to what the one you used to do at Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but that one's been off for a really long time. And then as you go through, there's other things that you can raise your hands up, and then the waves get, the water gets higher, or you can put your hand out like this and the water will come up and touch your hand. Or there's another section that you can jump on the little sensors. And if you get a whole group together, when you jump, the big wave comes over. You get a little bit wet. You can certainly stand in the way of, there's a section towards the end where they've got these water chutes that kind of come out and go across the pathways. And certainly if you stand in one of those, you will get drenched. But you don't have to get wet when you walk through. So keep that in mind. There's another spot where it looks like a curtain of like waterfall, but as you approach it, there's a sensor and you stay dry as you go underneath. So lots of really cool things. My kids could spend easily 45 minutes to an hour in this walkthrough attraction every single time. The music is great. The greenery and the scenery is absolutely breathtaking and gorgeous. As you get towards the end of it, you come across a massive Te-Fiti sculpture, if you're familiar with the first movie of Moana. So again, a really, really great princess attraction walkthrough that really kind of immerses you inside of that story of Moana. So definitely recommend that. Recommend Frozen Ever After. Again, princess adjacent. Let's talk about these character meet and greets at Epcot, though, in just a moment. My coffee's going to get cold if I don't finish it. What is going on with this tag? You see, it's like, what is that doing? I had it tucked up underneath here, and it did not stay at all. That's because my daughter's ears are not trained like mine are. The little tags on mine are trained because I fold them under so often. There we go. I agree, Cassie. That sculpture is absolutely stunning. And I'm just realized as I'm talking about it, I need to make it a point on my next trip to walk through there at night. Because I've never gone through there at night, and I've seen footage and videos of that whole area at night, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful during the day. So I need to make a point to do that. It said surprise. I know. I looked and I was like, what is that doing? Ah, the tag was attacking. It was not being very kind to me. I've been outside all day and my hair was like wild and crazy when I got home from pickup with my kids, and I was like, I need to brush my hair. So good at night. Yeah, I need to. Sarah, next time we're there, you got to make me do that. Remind me, because I'll forget. I'll forget that I said that, and then I'll go, what am I supposed to do? So I need you to remind me so I can write it down, so that way I go at night. Okay. I had to reheat my coffee from this morning. Not the CVS receipt tag. This one's not even that long. This one's one of the short ones. The longer ones are easier because I just wrap them and then I put a little rubber band over them. But this short one didn't want to, I accordion folded it and shoved it back in the band because that's what I usually do. Because I don't like to cut them. I don't know why. Is anyone else that way? Is it just a me problem? I don't like to cut them. Okay. I'm going to talk about Epcot. This episode's going to be short. I didn't realize that. I still have 5 pages total. That's okay. It'll be fine. Okay. You don't cut them either, Jules? I know. I don't know. I don't like to. The only things that I've cut are, the make your own headbands with the plushie heads. Those plushie heads have those CVS receipt tags, and they're I could wrap it around the ones that I have. And so I did cut those tags off so that way when I put them on the headband, they're not hanging out weirdly. I get overstimulated by the Disney tags and you need them off ASAP. No, I get that. But yeah, my build your own headband is the only ones that I've cut off. Because the other ones, I'm just I just tuck them in. It's fine. I don't know why. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Let's talk about characters at Epcot. So, like I mentioned, there are a ton of character meet and greets at Epcot. Most of them take place out in World Showcase. But before you go out to World Showcase, especially if you've just visited the Journey of Water inspired by Moana, there is a Moana meet and greet that is literally right around the corner from that attraction. So definitely stop and see her before you head out into World Showcase, because World Showcase is quite a haul to get all the way around. It is about a mile around World Showcase Lagoon. So keep that in mind as you're thinking and planning your course of action for this. So, with the character meet and greets, I'm just going to list them for you because you're going to have to decide, okay, which way are we going? Are we starting in Mexico? Are we starting in Canada? We're not going there, but you're going to have to decide for yourself, okay? So, the first one that I have, again, the first one that I have, again, princess adjacent, Anna and Elsa do meet in Norway. So just mentioning that if that is something that you want to add to your plans. Now, off of our official, quote unquote, official character, or I keep doing that. Now, off of our official princess list, you can find Princess Jasmine in Morocco. Hers is a lesser known character meet and greet. It's kind of hidden back in the back near the shops in Morocco, but a super great character meet and greet back there. If you are in France, you've actually got two princesses that meet in France. The first is Aurora, and she meets in a little gazebo that is along the walkway that you take if you're going towards like Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and like the back part of the pavilion over in France. She meets in that little gazebo area, so she's a super fun one that you can find. And then the other princess that meets in the France pavilion is Belle. But here you will find Belle in her blue dress look. So her blue and white outfit from the very beginning of Beauty and the Beast, that is what Belle meets in the France pavilion. And she typically meets closer to like towards the water in France. So not into the pavilion, but kind of across the walkway on the water side of the France pavilion. So again, you can find both of those in France. If you are walking through Germany, you will find Snow White. And Snow White is typically situated back. There is like a little cute courtyard with a little wishing well that is next to the festival food booth that is typically in that area. So like right now for Flower and Garden, it is the Germany food booth. It does maybe change names as the different for the different festivals, but right now it is the Germany food booth. So she meets in that kind of little nook tucked away. Again, she's a really easy one to miss. So definitely keep your eye out for her if that is one that is on your list to meet. And then the other princess that meets out in World Showcase is in China, which I'm sure you can guess is Mulan. So you can meet Mulan in the China pavilion out in World Showcase as well. And she is typically in her standard pink and blue and white dress outfit. So don't think like warrior Mulan, think more beginning of the movie Mulan, again, like we talked about for Belle. So that is what you will find her meeting in out there. So again, I just highly suggest you really think about what princesses you want to meet if you are going to Epcot to meet princesses. And make sure that you plan your route accordingly, because you will pretty much have to, especially if you're adding Anna and Elsa to that, you're going to have to walk the entirety of World Showcase. So keep that in mind. And we'll talk a little bit about their times and kind of timing of that here in a little bit when we jump into the actual like itineraries that I've got for you for today for your perfect princess day. So that is our character meet and greets. Let's talk about shows at Epcot. Now, Epcot has a ton of shows, but not all of them have princesses. The one that I do want to highlight is in the France Pavilion. They do have a Beauty and the Beast sing-along. However, this is more like, if you're familiar with the Lion King franchise, they did Lion King 1.5, where it's like a different retelling of the same story that you know, but it's told from a different point of view. That's what you get in the Beauty and the Beast sing-along at the France Pavilion. It is more of a story of LeFou and told by LeFou than anything else. So does it feature the story of Belle? Yes. but it doesn't really feature her prominently, if that makes sense. Now, the other show that I do want to mention again is the nighttime show here at Epcot. This show does not have any live performers. So like we talked about with Fantasmic, where those live performers and those princesses are in real life in person there, that doesn't happen at Epcot. So this is just strictly fireworks and music that happens in World Showcase on the lagoon, out in the center there. But there is music from some of the princess movies that is featured in there. So if you are a music person and you're just looking to have some of the princess music around, that fireworks show is great. If that really doesn't matter to you and you're looking more for like the in-person, like I mentioned, then I would definitely opt for Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios for that reason. And that's kind of our show options at Epcot. Now, let's talk about dining, because there is a dining option here at Epcot, and that is the Akershus Royal Banquet Hall. And I apologize if I said that wrong. I feel like I don't know how to ever pronounce that every time I try to read it on our notes and any episode that we're talking about. But that is in the Norway Pavilion, and it is a character dining experience. Now, this one is the best bang for your buck if you're willing to pay for it to see as many princesses as you possibly can. I forgot to look up how expensive it is. Give me a second. I'm going, wait a minute. I forgot to look up. Here we go. This is what I need. Oh, my nose is stuffy down here. It's so dusty in my house. Okay, here we go. It is. I need to write down these prices so I can read them. No. Why did that just close on me? That was rude. Here we go. You know what I should do? Why do they make the prices so hard to find? I don't know why I didn't just go to mode in the first place. Because it's right in front of me. Duh. Work smarter, not harder, Jackie. Sorry, friends, hang tight with me for a minute. Because I totally didn't realize that I forgot to write this down. I know I did it later. Thank goodness for mode. That just made my life so much easier. Because you can't find any of these prices online because Disney doesn't like to share their prices. For whatever reason. Okay. Just almost dropped my phone. We're good. Okay, perfect. One more sip. Okay. So if you are somebody that is wanting to do a character in dining, this is, again, like I said, the best princess option. So at this location, you will find rotating princesses. Okay. They can never officially guarantee you who is going to be at this location because they will just tell you it's rotating princesses. Typically, you are going to get Belle, Ariel, Cinderella, Aurora, and Snow White. typically. So those 5 you are going to get. You may also come across Tiana, Mulan, Jasmine, or Rapunzel. So it's really kind of just luck of the draw with who you're going to get. But you are going to see a minimum of 5 princesses at this character meet and greet. Let me try that again because that's not right. But you are going to see at least a minimum of 5 princesses at this character dining experience. So definitely worth it to get your photos, to get your autographs, to get to have, a little bit of an interaction with all of those princesses. Totally worth it for you. Now, this restaurant is a family style restaurant. It is a Norwegian inspired menu. So definitely take a look if you've got more particular eaters or kiddos that are really specific about what they like to eat or don't like to eat. Take a look at those menus. It is a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you do have lots of times to try to book, but it is one that you are going to have to book ahead of time for. So make sure that you are ready and on there 60 days out from your trip, booking at 6 a.m., all those good things to make sure that you have your best shot at getting this character dining because it is a very, very, very popular character dining experience. If you are going for breakfast, it is, again, like I said, it's a family style menu. For breakfast, it is $62 for adults and $39 for kids. And then at lunch and dinner, when the menu swaps over, it is $69 for adults and $46 for kids. So definitely not a cheap meal, but if you've got a princess lover, definitely one to consider splurging for or budgeting for or saving for. Because like I said, this is the best option as far as how many princess characters you can meet all at one time. That's the way to go for that. So that kind of wraps up our Epcot options for princesses. And now let's head to our last of our 4 Disney parks here. And then remember, we'll get to our little itinerary notes after this. But let's head over to Magic Kingdom in just a moment. Hi, Katie. Hi, Anna. Okay. And you know what? I just noticed I did not write down prices for these ones too. I'm so silly. How did I do that? I missed this whole section. I know that I wrote down prices for, I wrote down prices for the resorts. No, I wrote down prices for these menus down here. Who knows what happened. Again, thank goodness for mode. So this is lunch and dinner. Oops. Real time, kids. This is how easy mode is to use. Be Our Guest is not. It's a prefix menu. How did the T? Oh, for mode, Anna. I didn't make it onto the call. I was at my kiddo's school and I had texted Dean and I told him I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it because I was helping with an event at my kiddo's school. And I texted him about 5 minutes beforehand and said, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to make it on the call because my kiddo's event was outside and it got postponed from last Wednesday and because it got rained out last Wednesday. And so then they put it on today and it was it started at 12:15. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be done in time. I was not done in time. So, it is what it is with that. So I texted Dean and I said, I'll have to catch up with you and you'll have to show me. He had already sent me. I know, Sarah. He had already sent me the portal, so I had been able to look at it. But I haven't had a chance to like give him feedback. So hopefully this weekend I'll touch base with Dean about that. Dean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I felt really bad. I tried. Dean will, I know. Now he's going to hold that against me for forever. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to be needy because I'm going to make Dean walk me through all of it. Just me. I need an exclusive special meeting. Just me. I'm totally kidding. I don't need that at all. I don't need that at all. What I do need is to get these numbers written down. I know you understand, Dean. It made me laugh, though, because your response to me saying that I couldn't be there was just to send me the crying emoji. Well, I do want to give feedback because I am not a travel agent, but I will use that portal screen in a different way than what most travel agents will, because I'm not a travel agent. So like I have a different perspective. I just do. So remember that time Jackie avoided Kirk and Dean for her kids? No, remember that time I avoided Kirk? Yes. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I am so ill prepared today. I failed at these. There we go. The nerve. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's okay. Sarah. Okay, and then... Okay, I've got one more. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm failing you all. Oops. Hi, Ty. Again. All I ever get from Ty are emojis in my chat. Why can't I type? I can't spell today. There we go. Well, I think they've opened their eyes some more as you. Oh boy. Okay, Dean. I'm gonna text you when I'm done with this, and you can tell me what else happened with that. So, or maybe I'll just call you in a couple days. Okay. Magic Kingdom. All right, back in we go. Okay, cool. Okay. I don't remember if I introed Magic Kingdom, so let me, I'm gonna hop back here, and wrap up Epcot, because I don't remember what I said if I transitioned or not, so we're just gonna throw it in, and if I did, then I'll have two to choose from. Sound like a plan? Sounds like a plan. Okay. So that kind of wraps up what we've got princess-wise at Epcot. Again, a great dining experience, some great character meet and greets over there. But let's hop over now to our last park, which is Magic Kingdom. And Magic Kingdom definitely has the most. So let's jump in and see what all we can find. Now, there are several rides, which is where we're going to start here at Magic Kingdom. But I will mention that a few of these are like themed around the princesses, but like not directly. So these first two, actually three that I'm going to mention, are themed to the movie that the princess may be appearing in, but not like directly princess themed and princess related, if that makes sense. Which I think it will once I get there. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the magic carpets of Aladdin. So obviously, Jasmine, Princess Jasmine, is part of the Aladdin storyline. So this ride, this attraction, is a Dumbo style attraction where it's got the spinning magic carpets there. It is truly more Aladdin themed, not as much Princess Jasmine themed, but wanted to put that on the list in case you've got a kiddo that's just really into that movie and everything about it. Kind of similar to that, the next one that I've got to mention is just the Prince Charming Regal Carousel. Now, the only reason this is on the list is because it's got the name Prince Charming. It's really just your standard carousel. It really doesn't have that much theming that has to do with Prince Charming or Cinderella. Maybe some of the music if you happen to get one of the songs that's from there, but other than that, really just your standard carousel. The next attraction on our list is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Now, this attraction is more themed to the dwarves from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Obviously, with the name, you kind of understand that. And it does follow them into the mines, and that's kind of the theming with that. However, at the end of the ride, before you pull back in to do your unload out of the coaster, you do get a quick glimpse of a very joyful Snow White animatronic that is dancing with the dwarves inside of the cottage at the end. So again, a brief glimpse of a princess in that one, but really truly more princess adjacent storyline with that one. The next two are more truly themed to princesses. The first being Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So this attraction is truly a Tiana ride. It's got Tiana all over in the visual, in the audio, and the music, and the entire experience. So this is a unique storyline, though, however, to the ride. So it is not just a retelling of the movie, which is a lot of what we've talked about so far. This is a brand new storyline where Tiana and Louis are trying to find a band to play at a big party that they're having at Tiana's restaurant. So this follows that storyline. You do see Tiana. You do not see her in her big green princess gown. She is in more of a day-to-day outfit for kind of searching around the bayou for those musicians to come and play. At the end, she is in a little bit more of a fancy getup, but it's not her true green dress from the movie. But a great, great attraction if you are a Princess Tiana fan. And then the last one that I want to mention is Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid. This is a standard dark ride in Fantasyland that you can hop in a clamshell and you ride through different animatronic scenes that are truly the retelling of the story of The Little Mermaid. So Scuttle is your narrator as you walk through the different scenes and songs of the movie that we know and love. And this is the animated version. I know we talked about the live action Ariel being at Hollywood Studios earlier. This is the standard OG 1989 Little Mermaid animated version of the story. So those are your attractions. Again, it's really interesting to kind of look at this list because when I thought about doing princesses, I was like, oh, there's tons of attractions that are princesses. There's really not as many as I kind of thought. Again, a lot of them are like based around the movies or maybe have the name, but they don't really truly feature the princesses, which is kind of an interesting thing to think about. It is more of the characters that we see, I think, in the parks that makes us think like, oh yeah, they're all over the place, especially at Magic Kingdom. So let's talk about those character meets. Again, there are a bunch here at Magic Kingdom, just like we talked about at Epcot. And I'll get into a little bit more information about, again, like the times and like the best plan of action for meeting all of these characters if you're at Magic Kingdom here in a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to list them for you. So character meet and greet options that are princesses at Magic Kingdom. Ariel, she has a designated meet and greet location that is directly next to her ride. So that's a really great option. If you want to meet Jasmine, she does meet over by the magic carpets of Aladdin, and she meets together with Aladdin. So you can meet both of them at the same time over there. There is several princesses that hang around Princess Fairy Tale Hall, which is actually kind of nearby Prince Charming Regal Carousel that we talked about a little bit ago, kind of in that central hub area of Fantasyland, directly behind Cinderella Castle. And in there, you've got two sides to Princess Fairy Tale Hall. So this is something you really do have to plan for. And again, we'll get into those plans here momentarily. But on the one side, you're going to find Cinderella. Cinderella is a guarantee on that side, but she's going to be with what they consider a visiting princess. So it is a surprise on who else is meeting with her. I'll get to that in just a second. On the other side of Princess Fairy Tale Hall, in a separate line, so the Cinderella line is one line. In the separate line on the other side, you're going to find Tiana. Now, this is where you will find Tiana in her true green dress from the movie. So if that is the version of Tiana that you are wanting to see, this is the place to find her. And again, she also has a visiting princess with her. It's always going to be a mystery. It just depends on who's around and who's available in Fantasyland to be greeting guests at that moment. That being said, typically who you will find meeting with Cinderella and Tiana are any combination of Rapunzel, Aurora, Snow White, Jasmine, and Mulan. The most frequent ones are going to be Rapunzel and Snow White, but the other ones do pop in and out depending again on who's around and who's visiting for the day. An honorary mention with this is that you can also find Elena of Avalor here. While she is not a official Disney princess, she is a princess in her storyline, in her show that was on Disney Channel several years back. So she will sometimes also be meeting in there as well. So you can find any combination of those depending on the day, depending on the time, and it could change from hour to hour depending on if a princess needs to go elsewhere and a new princess steps in to meet. But again, you are guaranteed Cinderella on one side and Tiana on the other side. So that is a really, really great meet and greet to do because you can get 4 princesses in 2 lines, and those lines are directly next to each other, and they're mostly indoors. So really, really great character meet and greet for that round of princesses in Magic Kingdom. So let's talk about shows. There are several different show experiences at Magic Kingdom in which you can see princesses and wave to them and those types of things. Now, these are not true character meet and greets. Remember, they are in part of the show. The first one that I want to mention is kind of a hybrid show attraction, and that is the Enchanted Tales with Belle. So this is an experience where it's a audience participation show that takes place, and you do get to see Belle, but it's not like a true character meet and greet where you like wait in line, you go up, you take a picture, you get an autograph, then you walk away kind of situation. Belle comes into the show and interacts with the audience members, and several audience members get a job and a role to help act out the story. Very, very cute. But just keep in mind that it's not a true character meet and greet. However, you can get a picture with Belle before you exit the experience. So it is kind of a unique hybrid situation as far as that all goes. The rest of these are going to be experiences where you're going to be able to see princesses, hear princesses, maybe wave to princesses, but not like stop and get a picture with them. The first of that being Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair, which is the stage show that happens at the castle at Magic Kingdom. So this is one that has usually several show times throughout the day. So you definitely want to check and see what those show times are so you don't miss it. But it is, it's got a ton of characters in it, and it is the story of Mickey and Minnie and their pals wanting to plan this Friendship Day celebration, essentially. And they're inviting all their friends to come along. So in this one, you will get to see Princess Tiana. Again, she's not in her big green gown. She's in like a cute little flapper outfit. You will get to see Rapunzel. She is in her standard purple dress in this one. And I should mention you get to see Tiana and Naveen, and you get to see Rapunzel and Flynn Rider in this one as well. So those are super fun. You do also get to see Elsa and Anna, again, our adjacent queens over here. They are in that show as well. Super, super adorable show at the castle. Do keep in mind, though, that this area for this show is standing only. There's no seating available in this space, and it is directly in the sun and exposed to the elements. So definitely keep that in mind, because in the middle of the afternoon in the summer in Florida, not a great time to go see this. First thing in the morning and later in the afternoon, much better times to go see this. So plan accordingly, or if it's a cloudy enough day or not super hot, obviously that's a great option to go and stand and watch. What I like to do for Friendship Fair is try to plan our lunch around it, and we can go sit typically in Tomorrowland Terrace. There's an upper level that is just open seating for lunch. They used to have a quick service restaurant in there. It hasn't been open in probably 6 years ish. But the seating at the top of there is open above where they typically do like the dessert party areas for fireworks. And I like to sit on the far edge. And if you sit and you angle it just right, you can see the stage for Friendship Fair whenever you are eating. They usually do like a 12:45 show. And we usually have already had a mid-morning snack, so we eat our lunch a little bit late, and that is something that I like to try to time if I can. But that is a super, super fun show. They've got some great music. You get music from each of those characters, and then you get some great original music to the show as well. The next thing that I want to mention as far as show experience goes is the Adventure Friends Cavalcade. So this is a parade. This is like a little mini parade. So these cavalcades started during the pandemic because Disney did not want people congregating for parades because it wasn't safe at the time to do that. So they would do these little pop-up cavalcades throughout the day, just as fun little magical extras for the people that were in the parks. Now, though, they are on a set schedule. The Adventure Friends Cavalcade typically has 2 performances or 2 show times in the morning. I want to say they're like a 10:30 and like an 11-ish, or like 11:45, maybe somewhere in that round. So like a 10:30 and an 11:45. But again, you're always going to want to check and see what those show times look like beforehand, so you can plan accordingly. But in the Adventure Friends Cavalcade, there is a whole slew of princesses that you can wave and interact with. So in this cavalcade, either walking in the parade or on the floats of the parade, you're going to see Moana, Jasmine, Mulan, Merida, Pocahontas, and Raya. So that is 6 of the 13 official Disney princesses. I will also mention that our honorary Princess Elena of Avalor, who I just talked about in Princess Fairy Tale Hall, is also in this parade. So lots of princesses that you can see, as well as tons of other characters. This Adventure Friends Cavalcade is a really, really fun one because it's got characters from all over. It's got Stitch, it's got Mary Poppins, it's got Max, it's got Jose from the Three Caballeros, it's got Raya, it's got Bruno from Encanto. Again, lots and lots and lots of really, really great characters. So that is definitely one to catch if you're able to. And it does follow the traditional parade route. So if you look that up and kind of see where that goes, the parade route runs from Tiana's Bayou Adventure up, and then it turns and goes past the Hall of Presidents, goes around the hub by the castle, and then down Main Street to end by the fire station. So that is a really, really great cavalcade to catch if you are a character person and you are cool with just like waving and getting to see those characters. That is definitely a super good one to catch for that. The next thing that I want to talk about is the other parade at Disney. Let me try that again. The next thing that I want to mention is the other parade at Magic Kingdom, and that is the new nighttime parade that they have there, which is Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away. This parade, I cannot say enough good things about it. It is absolutely fantastic. It runs every night at the Magic Kingdom unless it's a party night for Mickey's Not So Scary or Mickey's Very Merry. But it runs at least once every night at Magic Kingdom. Some nights it will run twice. Again, check those times. But this one has so many amazing floats and so many amazing characters, just like the cavalcade we just talked about. But this is your full length parade. So in this one, you're going to see Queen Elsa. You are also going to get to see there's one large float in this parade that is all princesses on it that are dancing on there with their male counterparts. So you'll get to see Aurora and Prince Philip. You'll get to see Tiana and Naveen. You'll get to see Cinderella and Prince Charming, and you'll get to see Belle and the Beast. So all four of those exist on the designated princess float. However, you also get to see Moana on her own float, which is absolutely amazing. And then on the very end of the parade, you get to see a couple other princesses that are on the last float with Mickey and Minnie and some other friends as well. But you will get to see Snow White on that float. You will get to see Rapunzel with Flynn Rider on that float. And Jasmine and Aladdin are on that float as well. So again, you've got 9 princesses all in that Starlight Parade. So if you've got kiddos, or if you yourself are just like, I just want to see the princesses, I don't necessarily need to meet them and get a picture and an autograph and those kinds of things. I just want to see them. This is a really great way to do it. The show at Magic Kingdom, the Adventure Friends Cavalcade, and this Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away Parade, all fabulous ways to see tons of princesses. The last show I want to mention at Magic Kingdom is the nighttime fireworks show. Now, I'm not going to get into listing specifics because this nighttime fireworks show pulls from just about every Disney movie that you can imagine to be included in there. So every princess that is on that original list of 13 that we listed off at the beginning is featured and represented either through the music or through a visual representation on the castle, because they do all of that, all of those amazing scenes and everything on the castle for the fireworks show. All of the princesses are in this. So if you just want to see the princess movies, hear the music, see them on the castle being projected, those are a really great way to see that is to watch Happily Ever After. So again, I'm not going to get into specifics because I would be here all night trying to name off all of the scenes and all of the movies and all of the things that are featured on there, but just know that every princess is featured in that Happily Ever After fireworks show. Before we get to our itineraries here, let's talk about dining at Magic Kingdom. So there are a couple options here at Magic Kingdom that are princess related. So I'm going to talk about 3 of them and kind of give you the rundown and a brief overview of them. The first one that I want to talk about is Be Our Guest. So this one is a little bit interesting in the fact that it is Beauty and the Beast themed, but you actually don't see Belle in this character or in this dining experience. So Belle is not featured in Be Our Guest. You will get to see the Beast, but the Beast doesn't come to each table like a true character meal. So this one is a little bit interesting in that regards. It does take place inside of the Beast's castle. So if you are a fan of the imagery and the idea of being inside the castle, this is a really great option for you. But it is not a true character meal in that no characters come table to table to take photos with you. But you will get to see the Beast walk through. It is a prefix menu for lunch and dinner. It is $72 for adults and $43 for kids. So this one I struggle with a little bit because you're really paying that hefty price to eat in the Beast's castle and to get a glimpse of the Beast walking through. Now, if that sounds good to you, have at it. I hope you have so much fun. For me, don't know that I would go as far as paying that hefty price just for that experience. Obviously, the food is good. You've got some great options there, but you have to kind of decide what's worth it for you. The next one is one of the most expensive character meals and experiences on Disney property, and that is Cinderella's Royal Table. This one, though, is very, very popular and very, very hard to get a reservation for. I should mention that Be Our Guest is one that you will want to grab a reservation for. I do believe Be Our Guest does a walk-up list, so take a look at that if that's something that you want to do, but you don't grab a reservation for it. Take a look for that on your app. But let's go back to Cinderella's Royal Table now. It is definitely one you are going to have to book ahead of time. They do not do any basically same day reservations for Cinderella's Royal Table, but you do get to eat inside the castle. It's an entire experience. Obviously, it's very, very special to be able to go inside Cinderella Castle to be able to eat your meal there. And they are a prefix menu here as well. They do offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so that at least helps because you have a wider range of times that you will be able to book if you do decide to try to do Cinderella's Royal Table. This one is a true character meet and greet. So, I keep doing that. This experience is a true character dining experience. So, again, very different from what we were just talking about with Be Our Guest. This one is the more traditional character meet and greet experience, which I just... There we go. I left off a number when I wrote this down. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Okay. So during this character experience, you will typically encounter several princesses. Most usually is going to be Snow White, Aurora, Jasmine, and Ariel. Now, you obviously will see Cinderella as well, but typically they have her as like a photo op on your way out. So she is not a character that roams. She is a character that you meet on your way out. And there are several character dining experiences that do that. Now, is it possible that the day you go that Cinderella is walking around to tables instead of doing that? Yes. That is something that they do kind of switch on and off depending on the day. But usually speaking, she is one that you meet after you have finished your meal and you are on your way out. But this experience also is super, super magical. There's a whole little thing that they do about wishes, and it's just overall a very magical experience. As far as cost goes for this one, for breakfast, you are looking at $76 for adults and $47 for kids. For lunch and dinner, you are looking at $89 for adults and $54 for kids. So that price range, like I said, is on the higher end of things. Do keep in mind with this one also, most Disney dining reservations you pay after you finish your meal. This one you actually prepay for. So this is one that you have to do ahead of time. And when you book it, you will purchase it. There are only a small number of restaurants that you have to do that for on Disney property, but this is one of them. So keep that in mind that money will come out up front whenever you do book that online, when you get up in the morning to do your ADRs for your trip. This one I kind of mentioned with Be Our Guest that I didn't know whether or not it was worth it. This one I think is fabulous if you have a princess lover who really truly wants to meet these princesses. Again, character dining is a really great way to see as many princesses as you can without having to go to 5 different meet and greets. So again, you're going to see 5 princesses at this location. without having to go to 5 different character meet and greets. So definitely worth it for that. And definitely worth it if you want the experience of eating inside the castle, right? It is a more pricey experience, so something you have to consider when you're budgeting and saving up for your trip, but you want to make sure that you remember that that comes out ahead of time whenever you're booking. And thank you, Vinny, for mentioning that. Yep, that was on my list. It was definitely something we want to mention because it's a unique thing about Cinderella's Royal Table. So the last dining experience that I want to talk about here that is somewhat princess related is more akin to what we talked about with Be Our Guest, and that is Gaston's Tavern. So again, it is Beauty and the Beast themed, but it is more themed to the Gaston storyline. It doesn't really feature Belle. It's not really a princess space, but I do just want to mention it in case you have a kiddo that really, really loves Beauty and the Beast and just wants to experience all the Beauty and the Beast things. So Gaston's Tavern is an option for that. It is a very small menu it is a quick service restaurant that has a somewhat limited menu. They don't have a ton of offerings. It's not going to be a full quick service as far as something like Cosmic Rays or Pinocchio's Village House or one of those. It really only has a few options in there, and it doesn't have a ton of seatings, so keep that in mind. Items on that menu range anywhere from $7-ish to $11-ish. They do have the infamous Gaston cinnamon roll here, and they typically have a ham and cheese sandwich of some kind. Used to be on a pretzel roll. I heard recently that they just changed it again or changed it back. But that is a really great option for a themed quick service if you are a Beauty and the Beast fan. That is one that I would consider. Now, the other thing that's super fun is the little courtyard outside of there has a big fountain that's got Gaston on it and everything. So if you're not interested in eating there, it's definitely still a fun little area to walk through. And not one that you necessarily will always walk through depending on where you're going in Fantasyland. So something to keep an eye out for as you're kind of taking some of those pathways back there. It's a fun little area to take a couple photos of and then go on with your day. So that kind of wraps up our options at Magic Kingdom. But let's talk about a few things at the resorts that are princess themed before we jump into our itineraries that I have for you. What are the other dining restaurants that have prepay? Vinny, I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. Cinderella's Royal Table, Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. You pay for ahead of time. And then like any dining packages or events like firework parties or things like that looks like what you have to pay ahead for. I think that's it. So Hoop-Dee-Doo Review is the other big one that you have to pay ahead of time for. The other ones are, like those like special packages and like dining experiences and stuff like that. So the creme brulee croissant there is incredible. I remember Kirk trying that, Cassie, and I remember him being concerned about the texture, and I agreed with him on that because it looked a little concerning to me, but I'm sure the taste is good. The texture just looked a little questionable, and maybe it was just the one that he had, but I remember it being a little questionable for what my taste is when it comes to that. So jumping over to some of the resorts now, there are some princess-themed rooms that I want to mention in this episode while we're talking all things princesses at Walt Disney World. So you actually have 4 different options that are princess-themed. The first that I'm going to talk about is the Port Orleans Riverside. That is a moderate resort at Disney, and they have Tiana-themed rooms. So these are their princess I don't remember if they're technically princess suites. I think they are because I believe they are a 5th sleeper room. But they are all Tiana and Princess and the Frog themed. Those run about $450 to $550 a night on average, depending on when you're there, time of year, any deals they may be running. You can definitely find them for cheaper. I have found rooms at the Port Orleans resorts to be closer to $300 if you can find a good deal, but generally speaking, they run about $450 to $550 per night, and those are Tiana themed. If you're looking on the value side, your option is to go over to the Art of Animation, which I would consider kind of like a value plus, because these rooms are some of the most expensive standard rooms at the value resorts, and those are the Little Mermaid rooms. So they have a whole section there that is 3 buildings, I believe, of all Little Mermaid themed rooms. They're adorable, but they're just a standard size room over there. And again, these are some of the most expensive standard size value rooms because you've got all of the All-Stars and Pop Century that also have these rooms. But these are anywhere from about $260 to $400 a night on average, depending on where you're going, depending on when you're going and what time of year, how busy it is, those types of things. They're going to be closer to that $300 range typically for those Little Mermaid themed rooms. 2 more princess themed rooms. The next one is at the Polynesian Resort. This is a deluxe resort, so it is on the higher end of cost wise. And these are Moana themed rooms. These are newly re-themed over at the Polynesian. But they are all Moana themed. They have little touches of Moana things on the wall, and the bedding and the pillows and those kinds of things all have little touches of Moana theming to them. And these rooms they start around $885 a night. So again, this is that deluxe range, and it goes up from there depending on your view choice. So you've got like resort view, water view, theme park view, and those are all kind of different categories and different price ranges, but generally speaking around $885 a night for those Moana themed rooms at the Polynesian. And then the last one is also another option for a Moana themed room, and that is at Caribbean Beach, which is a moderate resort. So if you want a Moana themed room, but the Polynesian is not quite the price range you're looking for, consider Caribbean Beach. It is a moderate resort. It is a very large moderate resort. Lots of rooms. It's on the Skyliner. Great location. Those are generally speaking $330 to $470 a night, depending on, again, when you go and how busy it is and what deals are available and all those types of things. So those are your options if you want to stay in a princess themed room. I am someone that when I visit Disney with my kids, I don't really care where I stay. I just look for the best deal because we don't spend a ton of time in the room. We're usually in the parks. So consider whether or not it's worth it. If you're planning to do a couple resort days, definitely look into what those resorts have to offer. If your kiddos love to swim and love to visit the pools on your resort days, do keep in mind that moderates and deluxes will have those like water slides and splash pads and extras with that. Art of Animation has a really great pool, but doesn't have a water slide and some of the other features that some of the other ones do. So definitely look at the accommodations that those resorts have to offer for their guests before making any of those decisions. And decide, how much time you think you're actually going to spend at your resort before you splurge on a princess room just because it's a princess room. We'll leave it at that. 2 character dining options that I do want to mention at the resorts just for your information. If you do have a non-park stay or a resort day that you're planning, or that one morning you're going to take a couple hours and do a character meal that's not in a park or whatever your itinerary looks like, there are 2 options. The first of them being 1900 Park Fare. This is a newly reopened version of this, and when they reopened it, they changed the characters that are here. So princess wise, you can meet Cinderella and you can meet Tiana here. Now do keep in mind that this version of Tiana is actually Tiana's Bayou Adventure Tiana. So she has her get up on that is for the looking around the bayou for her musicians that she wants to play at her restaurant. So keep that in mind again. And then Cinderella is there as well. There are other characters, but those are your princesses that you have there. This is a buffet style, which is a nice option. For breakfast, you are looking at $58 for adults and $37 for kids. For dinner, still a buffet option, you're looking at $69 for adults and $44 per kid. And those are pretty average character meal prices for that one. So that is 1900 Park Fair. The other option that is a character dining that has princesses at it is Storybook Dining at Artist's Point. So this is a different kind of different experience because it has some different characters, but it does have Snow White. So Snow White is your main princess that is here. It typically usually has Grumpy and Dopey, I believe, with Snow White over here. It is a prefix menu, so it is not a buffet, which is why I kind of like 1900 Park Fair a little bit better, because buffets, I feel like with kids especially, you're more likely to get your money's worth. And they only do dinner. So this one is a little challenging to get, and you do want reservations for both 1900 Park Fair and for Storybook Dining at Artist Point. For dinner, the cost-wise that you're looking at is $68 for adults and $43 for kids. So right on par with what we just said for 1900 Park Fair, but those are your resort options for character meals if you want to see a princess. Those are your two that you're going to want to look at. So I think that gives you all of as much information as I could possibly put together in one episode for your places and spaces you can find princesses in the parks and at the resorts. Let's talk just briefly now about what I suggest for itineraries. Okay, so the way that I kind of thought that this would make sense is I looked at kind of different priorities for your day. Based on if you want to see princesses as characters, if you want to see them featured on rides, or if you want to see shows. Okay, so I kind of kept them in the categories that we had been talking about for each park. So if your priority is characters, you want to meet them as characters, you want to take pictures, you want to be able to do autographs, those types of things. Your best options for park are Epcot and Magic Kingdom, which shouldn't be a surprise after we just went through that list that those are your top options. So if I were you, I would start at Magic Kingdom because many of the character meet and greets at Epcot don't open until a little bit later. So I would choose to park hop between these two. I would start at Magic Kingdom, and I would do Princess Fairy Tale Hall first. I would start with the Cinderella side because the Cinderella side tends to get a longer line than the other side, just because. So when you get there, you're going to go to Princess Fairy Tale Hall first. You're going to meet Cinderella and whoever her friend is that is visiting over on that side. Oftentimes it's Snow White. And then I would get, once you have finished that line in that round, then I would get on the other side and do the Tiana side of that, which is typically Tiana and Rapunzel. I would do them next. And then from there, I would go to the Ariel meet and greet, which is right by her ride. And then I would go over and do Jasmine. If the Ariel meet and greet has not opened yet, then I would do Jasmine first and then hop over to Ariel. So depending on timing and how long those lines take will kind of gear you towards that either way. So Princess Fairy Tale Hall, then either Jasmine, then Ariel, or swap that depending on timing. After that, if you're at Magic Kingdom, I would hit a few of the rides that we mentioned. You could easily do the carousel. You can easily do Little Mermaid while you're over there. You can definitely do the Magic Carpets of Aladdin or Tiana's Bayou Adventure. All of those are going to be fine to do in the morning. The only tricky one would be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. If you are prioritizing characters, you're probably not going to get on that ride unless you buy an individual Lightning Lane for that one. After that, then I would head over to Epcot to jump on the monorail and head over there. And you're going to just work your way through World Showcase in whatever direction you choose. Most of the characters meet fairly regularly between about 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. around World Showcase. But again, be sure to check your times the day of. Now, I've said that a lot this episode, and here is the time in this episode where I remind you about our good friend Kirk's new theme park app that we saw just a few episodes ago called Mode, M-O-W-D. It is a fabulous theme park app that you can utilize to help you look up these times. It's got all of your characters listed in it. You can add them to your planning itinerary in that app, and that will help you kind of keep it organized in what order you think you want to go to all of these, and then you can check it off as you go. So highly, highly suggest downloading Mode to help you plan out the order in which you would visit these characters, because that's going to help you keep it all organized. If you're anything like me, you want that list and you want to be able to check them off when you're done. So the times are on there. Check those times to make sure. But again, like I said, generally speaking, they meet between the hours of 11 and 4 fairly regularly. And we went through that list at Epcot earlier. So work your way around World Showcase, whichever way you so choose. Once you're done with those characters, I'd grab a bite to eat. Maybe if you're really super lucky, you can grab an Akershus restaurant. Maybe if you're really super lucky, you can grab an Akershus reservation around 5 or 6 p.m. And then after you have done that and met all those characters, if I were you, I'd hop back on the monorail, go back to Magic Kingdom and watch the Starlight Parade, because you're going to get to see all of those princesses again at the end of the night in that Starlight Parade. So that is how I would spend my day if I were looking to see as many characters as possible that are princesses. Start at Magic Kingdom, hop to Epcot in the afternoon, and then end back at Magic Kingdom for the parade. Now, if rides are your priority, I would stick to Magic Kingdom, because Magic Kingdom has the most rides that are princess themed. And really, Magic Kingdom and Epcot are the only two that do. Epcot's got Frozen and that Moana walkthrough that we talked about. So you could add that into the mix, but I would really just stay in Magic Kingdom. If you're trying to hit all of those rides that are princess themed and princess adjacent like we talked about, I would rope drop Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, because that one's going to have the longest line, or I would grab an individual lightning lane for it if that's within your budget. Then I would head to Prince Charming Regal Carousel, circle back to Under the Sea, The Journey of the Little Mermaid, and then I would head over to the Frontierland Adventureland side of the park and hit Tiana's Bayou Adventure and the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. Now, that list of 5 rides, in that order, you're probably going to have that done well before lunchtime. So after that, I would plan on eating lunch, grabbing some food. You could maybe look at getting Cinderella's Royal Table if that's within your budget. You could also look at Be Our Guest if that's your vibe, or just stop by Gaston's for a cinnamon roll or a ham and cheese sandwich. After that, then I would look at those character meet and greets, because you are going to be nearby where all of those are happening. You maybe jump into line at Princess Fairy Tale Hall because it's an inside line that's in the air conditioning, and maybe you want a break from being out in the heat during the afternoon when it's super hot outside. The line on the Tiana side typically sits around 20 to 30 minutes, which really isn't terrible for getting 2 princesses on that side. You could also look at the parades and the shows that we talked about at Magic Kingdom, because there are tons of options there as well. You could catch the second version or the second run through of the Adventure Friends Cavalcade. Definitely catch the stage show, the Magical Friendship Fair stage show, and plan to do the fireworks and the parade in the evening time. So that would be my suggestion. If you are ride focused, I would just stick to Magic Kingdom and run through those rides in the morning, and then you've got your afternoon and evening to grab the shows and characters and kind of enjoy the rest of your afternoon for that. If you're going to do specifically shows, I would do Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios really has some of the best shows when it comes to princesses, and again, the queens, Anna and Elsa. But check those performance times to make sure you're making good choices. Again, utilizing mode for those performance times is so easy. It's right in that entertainment tab for you on their map feature or under the Discover feature on that app as well. If I were you, I would start at Hollywood Studios. I would start with the Beauty and the Beast stage show. Then I would hit the Frozen sing-along and then Little Mermaid after that. So those three options would be what I would hit. You could also, and I didn't mention this earlier with Hollywood Studios, there is a villains show there as well that you could do. It is princess adjacent, but it is not, it does not feature any princesses, but it's a really great show and I really highly recommend that you do it. If you are a show person. So Beauty and the Beast, Frozen Sing-Along, Little Mermaid, Villains show if you want to, and then head over to Magic Kingdom when you can see the afternoon. Oh, did I totally skip over Festival of Fantasy when we were talking earlier? I did totally skip over Festival of Fantasy. I'm so sorry, my friends. There is the Festival of Fantasy parade at Magic Kingdom as well that has a ton of different characters and a ton of princesses in it as well. So that is definitely something that I would add to your list. And I apologize for missing it earlier. That's what I get for, I don't know. I don't know why I missed it. It just happened. It's on my list. I just skipped over it. So yes, there is the Festival of Fantasy parade. There is a really great Tangled float on that. There is a whole Sleeping Beauty section in that with the lovely Maleficent dragon and Prince Philip on there as well. Ariel has her own float in the Festival of Fantasy. So lots of fun princesses to experience there. So definitely add that to your list of shows that you can do at Magic Kingdom. And then as far as that itinerary goes, you definitely want to, you could hit the afternoon parade, hit some meet and greets over there, do the shows over there, and then plan to watch the parade in the evening as well. So that is kind of my show suggestion for you. If you are planning to do food that is related to the princesses, you really kind of just want to couple that with one of the other things that you want to do. So maybe you do rides and food, or maybe you do shows and food, or characters and food. I highly suggest 1900 Park Fair. That is a really great option for a resort day if you want to eat there. Just because it's a buffet. Like I said, when you're going with kids to those character experiences, I really feel like buffets, you get the most for your money. So I highly suggest that one. Obviously, you could do the storybook dining as well for dinner if you chose to. And then again, Epcot for Akershus or Cinderella's Royal Table at Magic Kingdom are going to be your best food options for your Princess Day at Magic, or at Disney World. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think with all of that information kind of thrown your way, that is where we are going to wrap up this episode today. Thank you guys all so much for being here for this episode of Mom Street USA and for helping to listen. Guys, my brain this afternoon. It is Friday night and I need to go eat dinner. Let me try that again. Thank you all so much for being here for this episode of Mom Street USA as we attempted to plan your perfect Princess Day at Walt Disney World. Again, if you missed our perfect Star Wars day that started off this little mini series, hop back a few episodes to make sure that you get caught up on all the Star Wars fun. Coming up next for Mom Street USA, we are going to be planning the perfect Mickey Mouse Day at Walt Disney World. So that is what is coming up next. We're going to be talking about where you can find Mickey and the best places to see the man, the mouse, the myth, the legend. I don't know, whatever that saying is, but we're going to be talking about the best places to find Mickey across Disney property, whether it's, again, rides, shows, food, or what's the other one? There were 4. Or characters, right. So whether you can meet him as a character, find him on a ride, a show, or food, we're going to talk about all of those options for Mickey Mouse coming up on Mom Street. Again, if you've got questions or you want more help planning your perfect princess day, you can always reach out to us, momstreetusa@gmail.com. You can find us on Discord and on Patreon. Our Patreon, again, is at momstreetusa, so easy enough to find. Just like all of our other social media accounts, you can find us at momstreetusa on all of those. Before I wrap up, though, I've got to go back because I totally missed that whole Festival of Fantasy section, and I need to go back and be able to insert that into... How did I manage that? Because I didn't type it out. I have Festival of Fantasy listed, but I didn't type it out. So we're gonna clip this and we're gonna put it back in Magic Kingdom where it belongs, because that was really silly of me to miss that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so reverse. We're going to insert this in and then I'll sign off here in a minute when I'm done. Oh, my brain today. Okay. So another great option for shows and parades at Magic Kingdom is the Festival of Fantasy Parade. So this parade has been going on for over 10 years at Magic Kingdom, and it's got tons of really great princesses that you can find in this parade. They do it at least once an afternoon at Magic Kingdom. Sometimes they'll do it twice. It is typically around 3 o'clock. Sometimes it gets shifted to 2 o'clock depending. If they do 2, it's usually like a noon and a 3 that they do for this parade. It does follow the standard parade route. It starts over by Tiana's and comes down Main Street and ends by the fire station. As far as princesses, as you can see in this parade, one of the very first float in this parade has a ton of princesses on it. So it's got Belle, Beauty and the Beast, at the very front, and then it's also got Cinderella, Tiana on it. It also does have Anna and Elsa, our queens, on there as well. So that is the very first thing that you will see. It is followed closely by the Tangled float that does have Rapunzel and Flynn Rider on it. After that, you will see Little Mermaid and Ariel and her tall shell pedestal with lots of bubbles flying around. I love the Ariel float in this one as well. There was originally a Brave float in this, but it has not been brought back since the pandemic, sadly, which I hate. So I wish it were back in our version now, but they have cut it completely, which is so sad. After that, I believe, let me double check. Yes, so we've got okay, words are hard. So next in the parade, you will find the Sleeping Beauty unit. So that is where you will find Sleeping Beauty, Prince Philip, and the giant Maleficent dragon that I feel like everybody knows and loves from this Festival of Fantasy parade. You also get the fairies and all sorts of other fun things. So if you're a Sleeping Beauty person, this parade has a really, really great Sleeping Beauty section, which is super, super fun. But those are the princesses that you can see. You also can see a ton of other characters. Mickey and Minnie are in there. Pluto, Daisy, Donald. They've got a bunch of other fun characters that are wandering around on like ground level that are not featured on the floats. So a really, really fun parade and a really, really fun way to see tons of characters if you are visiting Magic Kingdom. I think that should be good. I will double check here. Because I'm going to insert that there after the cavalcade. Okay. So if you don't have time to catch the daytime parade at Magic Kingdom, you can maybe catch the new nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom. Okay, we should be... Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so glad that I realized that I skipped that in my notes. You guys are slacking in the chat here. You guys got to keep me on my game and say, excuse me, you forgot Festival of Fantasy. Oh my gosh. Well, let me sign off here. Again, thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of Mom Street USA, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone. End scene. Okay. Oh my gosh. You guys are slacking in the chat. I'm totally kidding. That was totally my bad. I am so glad I realized. I would have been kicking myself when I caught it whenever I went back to edit. I would have been so sad. That I forgot. Sarah, you mean you forgot it too? I know. Ugh, goodness gracious. Okay. And scene. We're good. We made it. Not as getting told we were slacking. Well, no, I'm totally kidding. So yes, next week we're doing Mickey. Ooh, and then the week after that, Kirk is back. We're going to talk about water parks because we did that whole episode on the other theme parks in Orlando and Orlando extended area. Sorry, my leg fell asleep. But we talked about we wanted to do the water parks too. So thank you guys for hanging on a Friday afternoon. I hope your weekend is lovely and wonderful. I'm going to hop off here because I want to go eat my dinner with my kids. So next week, I hope we will be back normal time. Goodness gracious. Let me double check. Yes. Next week we are back normal time. Yeah. So I hope to see you guys then. Until then, have a lovely, wonderful weekend. And I'm sure I will catch you guys in the chats on the live streams coming up. But thanks for hanging, and I will see you guys all very soon. Goodbye. I love you all. Thank you.